Hi, it's Miles Red Songbird in New York City. You're looking at the latest incarnation of the title of the book I'm working on. It's called Mainstreaming Clues, News, Views to You. Past Lives Revealed in the Museum of the Dead Returned to Life. Talk and share therapy sessions for Jesus Christ, the Buddha, Govinda Singh Ji, the Buddha, St. Nicholas, Santa Claus, St. Valentine, by the Michelle Birdsong, Miles Red Songbird, daughter of the sun. Okay, let us begin. I'll try to keep the camera on the book cover. Says, well, let me show you this because I want you to Google it and look at the whole video. 177. There are no trans children. It's called child abuse. Okay? It's on the Owen Benjamin channel. Owen Benjamin is the Tommy Robinson of America. Tommy Robinson was Abraham in the Bible. Eve, the Michelle Birdsong, was his wife Sarah, who was given a baby at 90 years old by the Lord. Tommy Robinson got arrested fairly recently for trying to expose child trafficking. Owen Benjamin got a persona non grata in Hollywood for exposing child abuse because this man wanted his 2-year-old to be a girl, and he dressed him like a girl. He talked and called them by a girl's name, and he was just confusing the child, who was biologically a boy. Okay, so let us begin. I am commenting on what Owen Benjamin said in this video. Multiple personalities that Owen talks about simply are past personalities, that they've lived as past lives, that they've not integrated, that they are unconscious of. So when you say you're fighting with yourself, you're fighting, there's a fight between two or more people you've been in the past. I have uncovered 935 personalities, which is not a lot when you think that I've had over 10,000 births. All of us have taken over 10,000 births. Okay. But I have evacuated most of those personalities because they were of no use to me, and kept around 50. Okay, so another note I made about the video: the Prince of Saudi Arabia owns a majority of Twitter stock. So Benjamin's point was Jack Dorsey does not own Twitter. He's a puppet of the Saudis. Abusers feed off shame. And then he says, reconnect with what it means to be an American. Reconnect with what it means to be a human. Okay, and then he noticed there are people in America who don't want America to exist. He said he just came to that conclusion. It's taken him all his life to realize this. Note, the Bilderberg Trilateral Commission and Council on Foreign Relations are the people who rule the world and who do not want America to exist as she is, with her same values, freedoms, U.S. Constitution, etc. And they're busy changing America. I used to wonder why things start out, these are my own words. I used to wonder why things start out being good to great, like TV with Father Knows Best, about a good family, and I Love Lucy, about a funny wife who's married to a minority who wants so much to get into show business. And now TV is so degenerate. I sold my TV for chump change. Movies like It's a Wonderful Life and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Now most were great. Now most movies, except Christian movies and pure flicks, videos on demand, are so sick and so negative. He was talking about, Benjamin was talking about Netflix being satanic. You don't want to have anything to do with it. So the airline industry used to be first class, even in coach. Passengers were treated like kings and queens. The flight crew were treated like gods. Now it's all turned to shit. They lowered the standards. I can't stand to fly anymore, and I used to be an American Airlines stewardess. Then they changed the title to flight attendant, and the standards went downhill after that. There are too many planes in the skies disturbing the sun's bird children, and flying without natural wings in the age of remote controlling of other airplanes have become so dangerous that flying, except for honorable leaders, the Holy Royal Family, is going to be outlawed. Outlawed. Order you, the happy couple, will be wed to have a royal wedding at the Cathedral Church of St. John the Divine. Okay, the happy couple would be Adam and Eve. Things go from a happy marriage to a trick, a name change, a gay marriage. So that we associate a gay marriage union of cocksuckers, butt fuckers, pussy eating, finger fucking, as the same thing as a couple, a man and a woman being authorized by the community, officiated by a servant of the Lord, a preacher, in the invisible presence. He's everywhere at the same time, like fresh air we breathe. The presence of the Lord above, so they, the bride and groom, can create life as he did. Satan and Luciferans mimic everything created by Jesus Christ. Love, created by the Buddha. Enlightenment, created by Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, the spirit of giving. And St. Valentine, lovers and love letters, which are love songs. And when Satan, Lucifer, the negative power, imitates, he has not the power to originate. They've destroyed art. It used to be beautiful and inspiring. Now it's mostly grotesque and empty of meaning. Music is anal chakra rap hideousness. Music videos have degenerated to satanic rituals. Lady Gaga makes you gag, nauseating. Same for Madonna, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Rihanna, Snoopy the dog, bragging about planning child abuse, saying he's going to give his child mind-altering drugs, make him crazy. So a normal to genius human being starts out with a good new idea. After it catches on and becomes popular, Satan and his minions mimic it. His product is sick shit and makes the society sick. The top, those who control the world, the Rothschilds, Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission, and Council on Foreign Relations want to imitate the Lord Almighty and have the power to control so they can enslave the population. The Lord above, the Son, has guided us to a U.S. Constitution that gives us U.S. freedom. Satan, Lucifer, has taken the freedom and corrupted the elections like what the Democrats did in California. They have blackmailed law enforcement into not enforcing the laws. The judicial branch is mostly corrupt, including Chief Justice Roberts on the Supreme Court. Everybody knows he rewrote parts of Obamacare so that it could be made into a law. The judicial is not supposed to make the laws. That's Congress's job. So that's why I said he's corrupt. The most conservative judge, Scalia, on the court was found dead in some motel room. They killed him. The government is corrupt, filled with people who lied to get elected. Andrew Gillum, the corrupt mayor of a town in Florida, who was almost elected governor, college roommate who worked on his campaign, was caught on camera by James O'Keefe's Project Veritas admitting the truth. He said fairy tales used to begin once upon a time. The new fairy tale is if I'm elected. Get it? And he repeated this demoralizing reality several times. Negativity, Satan, Lucifer, is demoralizing, hence the rise in suicides in society. Pedophiles, carnivores, flesh eaters run the world. If you belong to those groups, wake up and listen to your conscience and stop doing evil. Evil is being returned to live and die and live again and die on in hell, the animal and plant kingdom, where dog eats dog. You see, you know what that means? That means you die and you acted like a chicken, so you get a chicken body. You live as a chicken, which is a horrible existence. You can't talk, you can't kiss, you can't dance, you can't do anything. You can't create a painting, you're in hell. And then you die, and then you get a body of a skunk, and that's hell. You live that life, and then you die, and you get the body of a donkey, and on like that for eternity. There are 8,400,000 species you can be, and that's hell, okay? The meek, Eve, mother of the earth, the daughter of the sun, has inherited the earth. She takes after the sun her father, who is always giving light, truth, energy, power, life, feelings, love, and she's maintaining a population for eternity of good people like the sun, like herself, his daughter. Story of when I was communing with the sun today. Oh, okay, I was on 23rd and 7th Avenue, and I was looking up at the sun. It was 20 degrees, but there he was. He'd come to see me. And I looked into his eye, and he looked into me, and he made love with me. He got out his supreme beam and made love to me. And I stood there, enjoying him immensely. And this man, I heard a man say to a woman, "Is there a library around here?" So she said, "I don't know, but I'll check on my phone." So without stopping, looking at the sun, I simply said, "The library's across the street. There's a big banner that waves and shows you." And he said, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." So then I stopped making love with the sun, and the man said, "Can I buy you a cup of coffee or something? You're so nice." And I said, No, I'm fine." And he said, "Well, here, take this $1. I insist, you take this $1. And he hands me a crumpled up $1. And I went ahead and took it. I put it in my pocket. So then, when I got back to the fruit and vegetable group at St. Francis of Assisi today, under the guidance of Jessica, Dave, who was a student at Red Seminary, where my children were students, it was a prep school. He said that was the best time of his life. And he always bums money. And he's so well read. I mean, he's as well read as any college professor. But he does do that. So he said, I heard him ask a woman, "Do you have 75 cents? And no, he asked Eddie, and Eddie said no. So then he asked me if I had 75 cents. I said, "Don't you owe me money, Dave? Don't you owe me a ton of money?" And he said, "Not a ton." So I reached in my coat pocket and gave him the crumpled up $1. And he was grateful. Or another $1. At any rate, I gave him $1. And then when we were sitting down eating our salads, that's what they had made. They made squash with bacon drippings and greens. And I'm saying to myself, why do you have a vegetable group where you're serving, the babies are kicking in my stomach, my womb. Why do you have a vegetable group if you're going to serve animal products? But she made a salad with cheese for me. And me, because I'm the only vegetarian here. And I'm a lacto-vegetarian, which means I eat no meat, no fish, no eggs, nor anything containing their essence. So I was sitting down with William, who was my son in a previous life, who was one of the Knights of the Round Table, and who was Popeye, Olive Oil's boyfriend. And next to me was Tom Burns, who was Hardy of Laurel and Hardy comedic duo, and I was Laurel. And then there was Dave, and Dave sang a song, the Copacabana. He knew all the words, and he has a nice voice. And I realized later, and he's always giving me information about things, unusual things that Friend Seminary alumni are doing. For example, the MacArthur Foundation, where you can get a $650,000 grant for pursuing your artwork, your interests, whatever you want to do to improve the world. He told me about that. So then I realized, oh, I see what happened. Dave sang the song in exchange for the $1 I had given him. He entertained us, you see, so that was fair. All right, I just want to share that with you. Okay, so Red Seminary, after she had desired, after Eve had desired and attracted, scholarships were gifted minority students, but from private individual and groups. That's what I did for my children. The Early Steps program, my youngest daughter, Melanie, got into that program. She passed the IQ test. She was about 3 or 4 years old. And I think she was 4 years old, yeah. And she passed the observation of her at school and the interview and got into Early Steps, which got her into Friend Seminary, a private Quaker school. Very good school. Now, Robin got into Prep for Prep. That was a program for gifted minority students created by South Bronx High School teacher Gary Simon. Robin also scored high on her IQ test, and her school records were taken into account, which were impeccable. She was a perfect student all the way through school, and she had numerous written tests which she passed, interviews, and even after all that, she still had to attend tutoring classes Wednesday after school and all day Saturday during the school year. I tutored all my children, beginning in awareness guidance from the day they opened their eyes. During the summer, Robin had to attend classes all day, every day, Monday through Friday, to bring them. They did that to bring the Prep for Prep students on par with the private school students, so they would fit into the private schools, whichever private school they chose to attend if they graduated Prep for Prep. And Robin did graduate, and she chose, with my prodding, Grace Church School. Robin's program is described as a Prep for Prep. Is described as a leadership development for the gifted and education program. I had entered my biracial daughter Melanie in the government program Head Start. As most government programs, it was disappointing because they're run by Satan, because the government is mostly filled with satanic people being blackmailed and who lied to get into power, saying if elected they would do this and that, and then they get elected and they don't do a damn thing. You know I'm telling the truth. So the teacher from the Head Start program, 2 Latino women, were nice. They came to our tenement apartment and interviewed the family. Melanie attended classes 3 hours a day. The problem came about because, except for one other child, none of the children spoke English. They spoke a form of Spanish, not true Spanish from Spain, but Dominican and Puerto Rican style Spanish. The rest of the kids spoke Chinese, probably Fujian dialect. And when we tried to arrange play dates with the one English-speaking little girl, her mother had no interest. She did not want her daughter. She did not want our family to be friends with her family because we weren't like them. We were Americans and they were Dominicans. So, whereas I had gotten around the Chinese Latino community we lived in, not allowing their children to play with my black American Indian children, Cherokee and Blackfoot, Elizabeth Warren copycatted my children's true heritage. Birdsong is a Cherokee name. And my great-grandmother, Mama Sally, was part Blackfoot Indian. So my children were light-skinned American Black and American Indian, so I took them to play in integrated white and black, though mostly white, areas, like the East Village Tompkins Square Park, the West Village Washington Square Park, and on Sundays after Satsang, which is a spiritual meeting, which is kind of like church, to Central Park. And I enrolled them in Greenwich House Daycare Center, which is in the West Village on Barrel Street, so they could have cool friends. I was a stay-at-home mother, thanks to a year of welfare and my marriage to Great Master, now Michael John Spear, who I did talk and share with for hours every day. I also did talk and share with Singing Robin, and helped my husband to a job teaching public school, including 10 years teaching position at one of the finest public schools in New York City, a competitive high school, Brooklyn Technical High School, called Brooklyn Tech. Now, my husband said the children were wonderful there, but the staff was racist. There were black racists. Like his supervisor was a black Muslim who could hang all kind of Muslim paraphernalia up, but he couldn't hang anything Christian up. Not that he was a Christian. Students had to take a citywide test to qualify to go to Brooklyn Tech. Singh, my gifted son, passed a test that ensured him a seat in their classrooms. He was also accepted at the private prep school Red Seminary, where they start their day in the meeting room with 10 minutes of silence. Since Michael and I were followers of Jesus Christ, 20th and 21st centuries forms, Sharon Singh and Govinda Singh, that's Sharon Singh, is the first and 20th century Jesus Christ, and Govinda Singh is the current, the 21st century Jesus Christ. Okay, so we had to do 2.5 hours of meditation, and we thought these Quakers were on the right track, teaching that silence is important, because they had to do 10 minutes every morning, this school body of silence. As Einstein, look at the light in his head. I didn't put that light there, it just showed up. I attributed my coming up, there's no such thing as a coincidence, so don't tell me it's a coincidence. As Einstein, I attributed my coming up with profound formulas and solutions with time spent alone and concentrating, focusing, playing the violin, and a passion for learning, curiosity. I had all 3 of my children study the violin. Melanie began playing Suzuki violin at age 2. That's playing by ear. Robin began at 5 years old and continued until she was 15. Singh began at 9, encouraged by his father, Johann Sebastian Bach, Irving Berlin, now Edwin Birdsong. Singh took to the instrument right away, just as he rode a horse doing horseback riding lessons, as if he'd ridden all his life. When he grew up, he tootled around Italy on a motorbike, and a couple of years ago he drove from New York City to Los Angeles on a motorcycle all by himself. Alright, so I'll speak the rest of this to you on part 2. And this is on Mild Red Songbird, the Michelle Birdsong in New York City. Mainstream includes news views to you.